Welcome to another episode of the It's the Pictures podcast. This is episode 220, and I am your host, Max Colville. I'm joined, as always, by my co host, Evan Green. Hi, Evan.
Hey Max, how's it going?
Good. We ran into some technical difficulties. We started a little late, but I think we'll still be able to get through this pretty well.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers. The technical difficulties are all on my end. My computer decided to take a crap right before we started recording, so we're doing a combination of using a phone and a Bluetooth headset, so we'll see how that goes.
No, I think it sounds great. You're looking good. It's just
Oh, shucks.
there's going to be a little like time sync where when people are seeing your audio come from and seeing you on the video, but I'm sure
hmm
they'll be able to get that few second difference and be okay. What else was I thinking about? So yeah, episode 220, we have our first look at the summer box office game after Devil Wears Prada 2 and Mortal Kombat 2 came out. We have
hmm
a featured discussion on actor Karl Urban, pretty much stars in Mortal Kombat 2. And, for a lot more people who watch The Boys, maybe know him better from there than other places.
hmm
But yeah, I'm looking forward to our talk about Karl Urban. I think like he's one of these like underrated actors. I think like
hmm
he's more known as like sort of a really good supporting character than a lead, but that shouldn't discount the work he's done.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he's always been kind of one of those guys on the fringes of being like really famous and being in some like really big, well-known movies in those supporting roles, so it's exciting to see him in Mortal Kombat 2 and like a nice big beefy role.
Yeah, and before we get into our discussion about Karl Urban, we have our normal news update that we're doing this week. And Evan, it was announced like since we last recorded that Greta Gerwig's Narnia is skipping 2026 and moving to the spring period of 2027, most likely in a bid to have IMAX theaters for a longer period of time and maybe
hmm
to avoid the battle between Dune 3 and Avengers that is sure to happen come December.
Yeah, that'll be a real clash of the titans.
So I wasn't necessarily surprised that it was moving. I mean, there were some arguments that like we hadn't heard much, so
hmm
there was like a good thought that it'd be moving. It's from this article that I shared with you, Evan. It said that the original plan was for it to open in IMAX theaters around Thanksgiving and then stream on Christmas Day. But, I don't think it would have the IMAX theaters for very long because of Dune Messiah. I think like there's probably a deal in place for that.
hmm
Yeah, I'm still very much looking forward to it. It's like I don't remember if it was like really. It probably was confirmed that it's based on like the book The Magician's Nephew. I'm not familiar with C.S. Lewis's novels at all or the original Narnias. Are you? Did you see the first one that came out?
No, I'm not familiar with them either. Yeah, I mean, I think the move is definitely smart, if they're worried about the competition from those other, big movies that are coming out. And I also was reading in this piece that you sent me, Max, that it seems like a definite shift in Netflix's strategy because they're planning on having a long window where it's going to be in theaters before it drops on Netflix, which is not usual for them. They normally, just a couple weeks in the theater and then it's like right on Netflix. And this, I think it said it's going to be like 7 weeks where it's going to be exclusively in theaters before it drops. So that's definitely a shift on their part, and it'll be interesting to see if they decide to do that with more movies.
Yeah, I wonder if that they talked maybe if their discussions with Warner Brothers when they were in the runnings to take it over, if they got to get a better idea of the theatrical landscape and what money was there to be made. I find it hard to believe they didn't already know. It always befuddled me, Evan, that they didn't do like longer release dates for like the Knives Out movies.
hmm
It's like those make sense to at least give like a 21-day theatrical release or something.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird that they didn't give them longer. I mean, like, as someone who wasn't seeing those movies in theaters, like, I wasn't mad about it that it was available to watch on Netflix earlier. But yeah, from a strategy standpoint, it's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yep. I don't know if the movie's coming out in April, we'll probably see footage of it come Thanksgiving time. If 6 months out, maybe even sooner. But
Hmm.
that's probably when we'll start seeing the first footage of Greta Gerwig's new movie, her newest after the massive success of Barbie. The next thing I put on this list, Evan, is something that has been like rumored for a little bit. I guess Michael B. Jordan is involved in the like one of the executive producers of it, but it's the pretty famous romantasy series, The Fourth Wing, and I don't think it necessarily started the romantasy genre, but it was certainly almost ignited a wildfire, if you will, to the genre, and like everybody was trying to chase what it.
Yeah, It's funny because I was like reading this article and I was like, huh, a new portmanteau I'm not familiar with, romantasy. That's fun.
Yeah, but it's a very popular series. Even like people who didn't like or didn't know that they liked steamy romance and their romance in their like fantasy books kind of jumped on this trend and enjoyed it. From my spouse who reads a lot of different romances. She tells me that it's pretty tame comparatively. Yeah, it's a very successful series. I wonder if taking something like that and turning it into a TV show, if audiences will get what they want out of it. Maybe they will. Maybe something like Heated Rivalry shows that like that kind of story where like heavy romance can be like translated to screen pretty well.
Hmm.
I guess it's like the old Alfred Hitchcock psycho technique, right? That if you it's alluded to more than shown, it still kind of works.
Yeah, Heated Rivalry is an interesting example because I do feel like that show got pretty graphic in the sex scenes.
Have you gotten a chance to see it? I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, it's really good, but it is fairly graphic in the sex scenes. I suspect that this probably would not be quite so.
Yeah, it depends what they want. I mean, like I don't like. I know Heated Rivalry was a Canadian production too, and then went to
Hmm.
HBO. Where not saying that Amazon Prime Video is not willing to do something like that, but I don't know. Maybe it is a different audience, or maybe they just know what they want. But we'll see. I know. Plenty of people are probably excited. It has a big following. It's another episode where we're talking about a popular book series that's being brought to television.
I mean, it's smart. I mean, I think in a lot of points, it's smarter than trying to make a movie out of a book series because, like, there's usually so much there to mine story-wise, and when you go after a book for a movie, there's a lot of stuff you got to cut out, right? There's a lot of like artistic decisions you have to make to decide what to keep, what to jettison, and a show at least gives you more breathing room, so you've got, several hours to unpack stuff. So I think you can, and ultimately, a lot of times be more faithful to the books.
Yeah, and I don't know. Ultimately, Evan, I guess like I probably won't watch the Harry Potter TV show based on principle, but I
Hmm.
do wonder, you know, if people will actually enjoy how much more in depth the show goes, or if they'll find it like, okay, maybe that story didn't need 8 to 10 hours, and we got
Yeah,
exactly what we needed.
yeah, I guess we'll see.
All right, and then the other thing that I wanted to talk about as far as news goes, I guess right now as we're talking, the Cannes Film Festival is starting.
Hmm.
People are showing up. There's some awards being given out, and I guess like Peter Jackson got an honorary Palme d'Or for The Lord of the Rings. There's other things going on, of course, at the Cannes Film Festival. But funny enough, it was reported that they're having like a 25th anniversary screening of The Fast and the Furious at Cannes.
Nice. Yeah, it's almost like you knew I would love this news, Max. You're like, let's pick a news item that Evan's sure to love.
Like, and I think John and I did an episode like on all the Fast and Furious movies up to a point, and
Hmm.
when you look back at like the first Fast and Furious movie, it's like so different than like some of the later ones.
Yeah, totally. It's this serious like cop drama, like about cops and robbers and like a cop getting in over his head and like falling for the people that he's supposed to, be arresting. And it is very interesting in contrast to the rest of the franchise. You know what's funny, Max, is that I've seen every single Fast and Furious movie except Too Fast, Too Furious. I've seen every other one in the series, and I own like a Blu-ray set that's like 1 through 8. And one of these days, I swear I'm gonna getting around to watching Fast and Furious 2.
For me, the one that took me the longest was Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, that makes sense. I saw that one, I feel like at some point because Shauna really liked it, and it is a very different movie, and the stakes feel totally different in that one than some of the other Fast and Furious movies. But I have like an appreciation for it because it introduced us to Han, who's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. And so, anyways, Fast Furious 25. You mentioned cops and robbers. It very much feels like a indirect remake of like something like Point Break, like Catherine Bigelow's
Hmm.
Point Break.
Yeah,
I remember like that movie that in Fast and Furious they're like trying to steal DVDs players, which seems so quaint.
yeah, yeah, like TVs and yeah,
Yeah.
DVD players and stuff.
Not only is it having like some kind of celebration, and I'm sure Vin Diesel will be there um, celebrating. Apparently, like Peacock has multiple TV series in the works, various spin-offs and ideas for Peacock shows. It says here uh, that there was not just Vin Diesel didn't just confirm one, but four different Fast and Furious TV shows are in the
It's a
works at
lot of
Peacock.
TV shows.
So yeah, I mean, like I guess the idea is like gotta throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. I think like even not Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, HBO has had many attempts at spin-offs, and currently only two have really come to pass.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what plot lines they want to spin off into TV shows, if any, from the movies, or if they're just going to pick different characters in the world or what their line of thinking is. I'm suspecting it might be something like you're describing with like HBO, or I know Walking Dead. AMC tried to spin Walking Dead off into a lot of shows with varying levels of success. So I'm definitely curious what they have in mind. I don't know how well the Fast and Furious like ethos translates into a TV show unless it's like a TV show with like a substantial budget.
You're right.
Because kind of what what's so great about these movies is there's just like bonkers action. But I'm definitely open to it. My butt's in the seat for pretty much anything that they're doing these days, and I know they still have a final movie on the horizon that's coming out in what 27 or 28.
Yeah, I think that's what it says here. It says Fast Forever is scheduled currently for March 17th, 2028. Um, I haven't seen the 10th one yet. Oh,
I don't remember a thing about it, and that should tell you something because I have pretty good memory for I would say like 4 through 8. I have a great memory of it, and I feel like 9 and 10. I'm just like I don't remember a thing about them.
yeah, I just know like nine, they go back into the past and like young versions of them, I think, and they have John Cena's like the long lost brother or something.
Right? Yeah. And then somewhere in the what's his name is a villain. Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
I love how like everybody's a villain in there until they're not.
yeah. Then they're best buddies.
Yeah. Then there's like some new big bad they all have to team up against. That's like one of my favorite parts of this franchise.
Yeah, like what's his name?
Luke Evans.
Or Jason Statham, he was like he killed Han, and then he's just like, oh, I'm a good guy now.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's Fast and Furious. But before we get into talking about Karl Urban, we're gonna give our first update of the summer movie game, which we picked our movies last time, and I try to keep in perspective that you've had 2 weekends where I've only had the one.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie that opened was The Devil Wears Prada 2, and it did excellent business, better than I expected myself. I think it made over 70 million during its opening frame, and that was like the best for like a studio comedy movie in years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also surprised how much it's made. Like when I opened this up before, I was like, "What? $33 million? That's better than I thought it would do."
You saw this one, right? Since we've
I did.
yeah.
Yeah, I did. It's fine. Like there's some stuff that's really enjoyable about it. Like I love when the core cast is back together, like the scenes where we've got like either all of them together or like the Stanley Tucci and Anne Hathaway, the Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep, the Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt. Those scenes are all like really fun because the characters and the actors still have such a rapport together. But there's some like really like head scratching choices that they make from the plot perspective. And you're just like, well, they had an opportunity for this to be like really good, and what they gave us is something that's like, it's all right.
I heard that there's like a Lady Gaga concert somewhere in there.
Yes, they pull her into like there's some like show that they're doing in Milan, and they call in a favor, and they're like, Gaga, we need your help. And there's like a scene between like Meryl Streep and Lady Gaga where they're like kind of like fighting because it's like intimated that there's like a long-standing feud between them.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. I'm not biting at the bit to see it, so we'll see what happens there as far as me watching it. But it's doing pretty well. Looks like a
Hmm.
really good get at number five.
Yeah, not too shabby.
As for myself, Mortal Kombat 2 opened this past weekend and it made just shy of $40 million at 39 million, which, isn't terrible. I think it's fine for that kind of movie. Maybe myself and Warner Brothers expected a little bit more, given
Yeah.
the seemingly demand for it.
Hmm.
But maybe people watched the trailer and they were like, "Oh, this is enough. I don't really need to see the movie."
Well, I won't go into it a ton, but I have to say that's a shame because I really liked Mortal Kombat 2. I think it's really good. And so if people are skipping out on seeing it, I think that's, too bad for them.
Yeah, well, we'll revisit Mortal Kombat 2 as we talk about Karl Urban in our featured section. But next time we record will likely be right after Mandalorian and Grogu comes out.
Hmm.
So we'll have another movie to add to the list. And my expectation is that your early lead will grow.
Yeah, but you have some very, very strong picks in yours. At first I was like, oh, I'm making some good choices, and then after I was like, oh man, he's definitely gonna beat me.
I mean, like my list is like powered by Disney. So I mean,
Yeah. And Nolan. You got Christopher Nolan. Like, don't count him out. I mean, the guy somehow made like $1 billion off of Oppenheimer.
yeah. But yeah, that's our movie contest list thus far. The summer movie season is in full swing, and let's get to our discussion about actor Karl Urban. Evan, like I was thinking, like, when was the first time I saw him?
Hmm.
And it definitely had to be in Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, and Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, as Eomer, the leader of the Riders of Rohan. And like, I have to, like, whenever I look at it, like, I have to like do a double take because
Hmm.
he's wearing like this like long hair. I'm
Yeah, the
terrible.
like shoulder length
Yeah,
wig. Yeah.
I'm terrible at wigs, or maybe they did a good enough job to convince me. But yeah, when you look at that picture and then you look at him later and like other things, you're like, "Whoa, that's the same guy," and you're like, "Yeah, it is."
Hmm.
I looked a little bit into it, and like, I guess Karl Urban, like, of course, really wanted to be a part of this and tried out and was totally excited. And when he appeared in those movies, he wasn't as well known as he is now. Similar to many movies. Fairly recently, a few weeks ago, or rather a few episodes ago, I talked about Excalibur, right, and Helen Mirren
Hmm.
and other actors like appearing in that movie and like never having been popular before. But yeah, small role, but pretty impactful. And he's had a number of roles in movies such as Star Trek and Thor Ragnarok, the
Hmm.
aforementioned The Boys, and then the Dread movie, which is his most well known leading role. Evan, do you remember the first time you saw Karl Urban in something?
Yeah, I think I probably. So I was like looking through his filmography earlier today, and I was just like, I forgot how many things that he was in that I like didn't. when I saw it, I didn't know him. Like they said his first like real movie was the movie Ghost Ship, which is this horror movie from like early aughts, which I definitely saw. Did not remember that he was in, but I feel like it's kind of like a cruddy horror movie. So like a movie I saw forever ago, I'm not gonna remember that he was in it. But I think, he really stood out to me for the first time when I saw him in the Star Trek movies as McCoy, as Bones. And I remember thinking this guy is really funny. He's very charismatic. He very much captures the like ethos of this character in the way, DeForest Kelly, I think is the actor's name, played him. And so I really, really liked him. And so I kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna take more notice of him because like I didn't really watch the Lord of the Rings movies for a long time, so he wasn't on my radar through that. But every time after that, I saw him in things. I was like, oh yay, Karl Urban's in this. I really like him because he's such a fun supporting character, such a fun charismatic actor, and he like even in little parts, to me, makes a movie better.
Yeah, and since we're going to be talking about Carl Urban at large today, and maybe some of these movies in more detail, I kind
Hmm.
of want to take a stop here at that new Star Trek trilogy because I'm a big fan of that Star Trek trilogy. I have a pinball machine of it in my basement.
True.
Big fan, but like, I think when it came out, there was like this big discussion about, or rather hesitancy about like the new cast, right? Like,
Hmm.
how can you make a Star Trek movie and tell me that these people are, this one's Spock and this one's Kirk, and I'm supposed to be okay with that? And even though that was the case, J.J. Abrams, I like to joke that he technically remade Star Wars: A New Hope a few times because he also did
Hmm.
that in Star Wars because I feel like the first Star Trek 2009, it feels very much like A New Hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the ship that launched the franchise, right? They were like, "Hey, let's like let's get used to the fact that there's going to be a new cast playing these classic, Star Trek characters, and we'll explain it away by saying this is like an alternate universe. So the characters have gone different directions than you know them, and therefore it's like fine that we have different actors playing them."
Yeah, well, not only that, but like Kirk, has a mentor, and he's in a bar, he gets in a bar fight, and gets involved with this like new Starfleet academy that he never really knew anything about, and with a new cast of characters. And you had Zachary Quinto as Spock, who I thought he did a great job
Yeah, he did.
trying to be stepping into a role made famous by Leonard Nimoy is very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it helped too that he kind of had like the blessing, so to speak, of like Leonard Nimoy Spock, because his character like exists in the same like world. He ends up like in the same universe or whatever. So you have the chance for him to kind of like pass the torch, literally.
Yeah, yeah, having him in the movie certainly doesn't hurt. And then, of course, the late Anton Yelchin was in the movie.
Oh man, miss that guy.
Simon Pegg. A lot of great actors and actresses. But yeah, that one's a lot of fun. I think like what's his name? Eric Bana plays one of the main villains in the first one.
Yeah,
That part of it is kind of forgettable, but I
agreed.
think I like that movie quite a bit. It's when the second one came out where they literally remade A Wrath of Khan,
Hmm.
where I kind of got disappointed.
Yeah, shake my head. There is no reason they needed, no earthly reason they needed to remake Wrath of Khan. It's just one of the dumbest ideas I think in the history of cinema. Like Wrath of Khan is like chef's kiss. I think it's the best Star Trek movie. I think a lot of people would agree with that. It's stupid that they decided to remake it. Like they could have done literally anything else.
Yeah, and they kind of tried to make it like an undercover remake, right? Because like
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch plays Khan, and like they kind of hid that he was playing Khan for a long time, or like
Hmm.
made a big effort, and like then it's revealed, and you're like, oh, this is dumb.
Yeah. Oh, they're literally just remaking Wrath of Khan. Great. This is what I'm here wasting my time on. And like Honestly, Max, I have zero desire to ever watch that movie again. Like at least the first, of the new Star Trek movies I've rewatched and enjoyed, and I admittedly haven't seen the third one, which was I can't remember that one,
Star
what the
Trek
title of
Beyond,
that
it's
one.
actually pretty good.
I've heard it's good, and I do intend to watch it. And if I enjoy it, I could see myself rewatching it. But I literally have, I could see myself never watching Star Trek Into Darkness ever again.
Yeah, yeah. I think Beyond has like Idris Elba as the big bad, and it's just more of a fun movie. I wouldn't say it's as fun as like Voyage Home, which we recently talked about.
Yeah.
It feels more like a fun Star Trek movie as opposed to something that is super heavy. And I'm kind of disappointed that, in the last 10 years, we have not had another Star Trek movie. I know, like, they've tried to get this group of actors off the ground again for our fourth one, and
Hmm.
it's just never really come to pass. And funny enough, like, I think in the first one, like Chris Hemsworth plays like Chris Pine's dad,
Yeah.
and like in like at the very like intro, it's like before anybody knew who Chris Hemsworth was, and
Hmm.
they were trying to like make it so that they would appear in a Star Trek movie together, and this also been rumored like a Quentin Tarantino rated R Star Trek right since
Yeah.
then, but
That was a rumor. Yeah, and it was sad that didn't come to pass. It would have been interesting. I mean, like, Star Trek is in a weird place right now. It's like Paramount has either canceled or closed up most of their Star Trek shows at this point. This kind of Star Trek itself has kind of gone dark, and it will be interesting to see what happens in the future with the franchise.
yeah, I liked that newer one that they did, Strange New Worlds.
I've liked that show too. I've liked the show, I like the cast, and yet they've had more people playing Spock and Kirk in that too,
Right.
which is interesting.
They can't get away from Spock, right?
Yeah. I think we've come a little far from Karl Urban, but I've enjoyed this Star Trek detour because I feel like people know that I love Star Wars. I mean, like I joked recently that like most of my t-shirts that I wear are either literally Dragon Ball or Star Wars. Funny enough, I'm wearing a Zelda t-shirt right now. But like I do love Star Trek quite a bit, and I feel like that kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, I mean, we just celebrated May the 4th. I mean, like it's tough to like Star Trek Day is not nearly as pronounced in popular
Hmm.
culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to Carl Urban as Bones. He was. I agree with you. I think he's really good in that role, and Bones is a very important character. Not maybe the relationship between Kirk and Spock, but maybe a third to that.
Yeah, he's kind of like a trusted advisor for Kirk in a lot of ways, and like a voice of reason often when Kirk is gonna do something insane. Like he's kind of that like, are you sure you want to do this, Kirk? Are you sure this is kind of insane thing that you're gonna do right now?
Yeah, so the other one that big franchise that like he was a supporting character in was Thor Ragnarok. And I forgot that I don't remember a lot from Ragnarok, to be
Me neither.
honest. Like I
Yeah,
remember like when I saw it, like I thought it was really good. Like as like Taika Waititi's bringing like, you know, something interesting to Marvel movies after they felt like a little stale for a while.
yeah, yeah. Well, he's like, of course I'm gonna bring in Jeff Goldblum and like make it weird.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like Ragnarok is just it's just kind of like zany oddball detour and much needed in the Thor movies because I feel like the first one is kind of stuffy and like almost Shakespearean because you got like Kenneth Branagh directing it. The second one, I don't even know. It's just horrible. It's so bad. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. And then they're like, yeah, let's give it to Taika Waititi and he'll just make it weird. But I wish I remember Karl Urban in it because I don't really remember a ton about this
No,
either.
I was like, was he in that? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I remember him being in that. But like,
Yeah, like I vaguely remember him being one of kind of like the background Asgardians, like kind of on the fringes, almost like the Idris Elba character. You know what I
hmm.
mean? Like he's around and you see him and his character's got like a name, but I don't remember a ton about him like being actively involved and stuff.
Now, have you seen the Dread movie where director writer Alex Garland got the writing credit for?
Yes, Max, I love this movie. I love, love, love Dread. I loved it when it came out. I've loved it on subsequent viewings. Because, like, it's so funny to hold up against the 1990s Judge Dredd movie with Stallone, which is, like, kind of in a similar vein to, like, Demolition Man. It's just, like, really corny, like, he's like, sci-fi movie. It's kind of, it's like, it's kind of it's based on a graphic novel, right? Like Tank Girl, so it's kind of, like, got a comic booky kind of vibe to it. And it's just, like, the tone is all over the place. But Dread is like, let's dial up the violence, like to make it feel like the world where you've got like these people walking around called judges who are like judge, jury, and executioner. And like let's make it gritty and grimy and let's make it futuristic. And it throws them into this like skyscraper that's loaded with criminals. So it feels very much like The Raid, where you've got these like cops that are like fighting their way to the top of this like crime-ridden building and like shooting, and it's yeah, it's delightful. I freaking love Dredd, and I love Karl Urban in it because he has got this kind of like, you don't see his face like the entire movie aside from the like below the nose through the helmet, and he's got this like great kind of like scowl, which kind of feels a little bit like, Stallone when he was doing the character, but it's so much more cantankerous. It's so much more like angry, and yeah, I freaking love this movie, and I love Karl Urban in it. It was another one where I watched, as like, this guy has got something. He's got some talent, and I am excited to see more stuff with him in it.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned The Raid because that was like this Indonesian action crime film that came out in 2011, just like 1 year before Dread.
Mm-hmm.
And they, on paper, they feel like the same setup, like trying to get through a high rise, right? Because like, and like
Mm-hmm.
each level of that building presents a new challenge that they hadn't faced before. But um, why I like both movies, and I think Raid is probably slightly more violent. Not saying Dread isn't violent enough because it is.
Yeah. Dread, I think, has the fun narrative device of that drug that people are doing called slow-mo, where like time slows down when they're doing the drug. And so that introduces a lot of like really fun effects from an action perspective.
Yeah, wasn't there like I think there was like a Gatling gun or something like ripping through somebody in slow motion.
Right, yeah. And then you have Lena Headey as the villain in that, and I think she's excellent too. She's such a good like villain for Dredd to be fighting. She's like ruthless and mean and like nasty, and yeah.
Yeah, and that movie has certainly had its own like cult following since then. Lots of very vocal fans have really wanted a sequel to it. I can't imagine that the sequel is dead in the water yet. I think like
Hmm.
anything could happen. I mean, why it's been 14 years. Carl Urban could reprise the role because you wear a mask the whole movie, and
Hmm.
if he's doing roles like Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2, then I'm sure he could embody the dread suit again and take another walk on those shoes.
Yeah. I would be delighted if they made a sequel, but I'm also not holding my breath because I'm like, it does have a cult following, so who the heck is going to demand a sequel? And if they do, who's going to actually go see it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's the argument, right, that this how much time has passed, you'd have to like almost do an origin story again to like
Yeah.
reset it.
You probably have to like re-release the first one to like drum up some publicity to get people excited about the second one.
And then, of course, I've seen a lot of Carl Urban lately, Evan. Why I'm not a consistent watcher of The Boys, or a consistent watcher is putting it lightly. I've never seen an episode. I know it's a very popular show, nearing
Yeah.
its finale, and I think Amazon MGM said that they were going to do like theatrical engagements for The Boys finale.
Hmm.
So not only will Karl Urban be seen in that TV show, but he can also be seen in theaters right now. As you can tell me how much of a title character he is in Mortal Kombat 2. It seems from the trailers that they're pushing him very much as the focal point of this movie.
Yeah, I would say he's like second lead. So without going too much into spoiler territory, I would say that like the central narrative really centers on Katana as a character, and Karl Urban's Johnny Cage is kind of like the second lead. Like the story really heavily centers around those two characters, like Katana and what's going on with her, and Johnny Cage as the like he gets called in as part of this, and he's like a reluctant guy who doesn't want to be a part of this because they have this really fun thing where they make him washed up. They make him like a washed up celebrity who's like going to like Comic Cons and like no one's coming to his booth, and he gets called and he's like, yeah, like I did karate like as a kid, and like I was in these dumb action movies. Like I'm not like a fighter. You can't like bring me in this tournament. And it's about him kind of like learning to believe in himself and like gain confidence again and to be the hero that they need him to be.
Mm.
That sounds super corny, but I think the movie does it in a really fun way. And that's such a fun journey to see his character on. Like to see Karl Urban playing this like washed up, like booze soaked guy and to see him kind of like figure his shit out and come into his own and be like, okay, yeah, I am worthy of being here. Because there's this whole thing of like, oh yeah, well, you were selected by the gods or whatever. It
Mm.
was like you were chosen for Mortal Kombat, so like you got to be destined for greatness, and he just doesn't believe it.
So I remember like as much as I remember the newer Mortal Kombat movie, Evan, there being like no tournament because I was really angry about
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
I know I've heard that there's a tournament, and this is the one, and like there was like an original character in the first Mortal Kombat. Does that like character show up at all? Because like it's almost been erased from like the marketing from.
Yeah. So he does carry over. He's not he's one of the like people in the group that's fighting for the Earth Realm, but he's not really a main character.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so it was funny because I watched this with some other critics, and our friend movie Bob Chipman called this movie Mortal Kombat 2. Sorry about Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
And it very much is that. It responds to that critique that there was not enough fighting, not an actual tournament, because like this movie is like wall to wall fighting.
Okay.
That's why I'm kind of like I'm annoyed that people aren't going to see this because this movie like really does take that critique to heart. It's like, okay, you guys are upset that we didn't have a tournament. We have a tournament. We have matches. We have fighting. And guess what? On top of that, we have a like other story and more fighting. Like there's additional fighting. There's tournament fighting and like non-tournament fighting that's also moving the story forward. So, yeah, it's like walled, like pretty much like every 5 minutes, there's some like crazy fight that's happening, and at points, there's fights happening in multiple locations with different characters, like fighting and trying to progress the story forward. So,
Well, I know like also like the actor who plays Scorpion, he's gotten more famous since the first Mortal Kombat
hmm
came out with being in Shogun.
right.
Also, there's something else that he appeared in.
He's in John Wick 4.
Yeah, right. So his profile has gotten a little bit bigger since the last Mortal Kombat movies.
Yeah, and he does show up again in this one. It's more than a cameo appearance. Like he shows up for a little bit of the movie, so that's cool. There's definitely like connections to the first Mortal Kombat movie, but it seems like they took away some lessons and said like let's do the literal opposite of some of the things that people had a problem with, and it works, really. It truly is a fun movie to watch. It's a big fun action movie with lots of fighting and I think really really good character arcs. Like Johnny Cage, he is very central in the marketing. He's literally like the poster of the movie is like hit Karl Urban front and center. And so that's what got my butt in the seat, of course. And then I saw it, I'm like, this is actually really good. I'm really enjoying this movie. It's a good movie. It's fun. Like there's some mythology, but I think it does a fairly good job of like telling a story in a way that like I don't think you need to have seen the first one, and B, like I don't think you really needed to have played Mortal Kombat. I think it would be helpful if you did, but I don't think it's like critical. And so I think that's also impressive.
Yeah, it was funny before we had this discussion, Evan. I was looking on YouTube because I guess like Arrow Video had sent out some test copies of their upcoming 4K restoration of the original Mortal Kombat movie and its sequel, Mortal Kombat Annihilation,
Mm.
and just like having those fond memories of the first Mortal Kombat movie and probably being way too young to see it, and like it's like how fun and stupid it was.
But yeah, it is fun and stupid, and Johnny Cage is really fun in that. And I feel like everyone remembers the scene where he does the split and punches Goro in the nuts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's why like Mortal Kombat Annihilation was such like a betrayal. I feel to like those first movies.
Yeah, you know what's like as corny as a lot of these video game movies were in the vein of like Double Dragon and Super Mario and things like that. I actually felt like the Mortal Kombat movie was a pretty good adaptation of the game.
Yeah, and it's funny this year. Not only are we getting Mortal Kombat 2, but we're getting a new Street Fighter movie, which I've seen the trailer for that one. That one looks ridiculous too.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer, but I also didn't realize we were getting a Street Fighter movie. I think until Bob told me when we were at the Mortal Kombat screening, I was like, oh, okay. And that's funny that you mentioned that too, because I forgot to mention that literally just now when I was talking about corny movies. Because yeah, Street Fighter, well, for a Street Fighter movie, boy, is corny and is that a mess, but weirdly still fun to watch.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time, but
Yeah, me neither. I put it in like a DVD bin for like $3 or something back in the day at Best Buy, and it's my copy's around here somewhere, but I have no idea where.
so yeah, I guess I'm with an agreement with you, Evan, and I really enjoy Karl Urban and the things that I've seen him in, and I am
Hmm.
looking forward to see his role in Mortal Kombat 2. It seems like something I'd probably enjoy watching, even though, like I told you, I wasn't
Hmm.
wild about the first one. It seems like the second one might have fixed a lot of problems that I had,
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I'll likely give it a shot.
Yeah, and I hope that you do, and I hope that the audience who see it with enjoyed it as much as the audience I saw it with, because people were eating it up. They were cheering, they were screaming, there were people literally rocking in their chairs in front of me. They were so excited by this movie and what it was doing and the hilarity of its dialogue.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope to see Carl Urban and other things, and of course, you can see him in Mortal Kombat 2, or I guess the final episodes of The Boys coming up. That will pretty much wrap it up for our feature discussion for today. And before we get to what we've been watching, we're gonna pause for some station identification. You've been listening to the It's the Pictures podcast. You can email us at itsthepictures@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Letterboxd, or Blue Sky. It's the Pic Pod or It's the Pictures. Check us out there. You can also check out the newsletter or subscribe there. It's itsthepictures.com. Recently, I had a flurry of articles go up on an anime movie called Labyrinth that played over the weekend from the creator of Macross. I did a monthly article on the Criterion Collection and my pick for the month of May, and a review of Mother Mary, which I will be talking about a little bit more too coming up. My anticipated David Lowery movie. If you'd like to follow me online, you can follow me on Blue Sky, maxcoville.com, or just search my name, Max Colville. You can follow me on Letterboxd at mhcolville. And those are probably the best places to find me. Evan, where can they find you these days?
Let's see. So probably you might find me on Threads or Blue Sky or Letterboxd. Believe all those places on Real Recon. So Real is in Film Reel. I actually did come out and post recently that I was very excited that my toddler enjoyed My Neighbor Totoro. It's great that I see her wearing a Totoro t-shirt, Max.
Yeah.
And we also showed her Kiki's delivery service after that. She also really loves, so it really warms my heart that she's getting into the Miyazaki movies. But yeah, aside from that, you can follow me, yeah, every week over at Spoiler Piece Theater, the weekly film review podcast, and that's another place you can catch up with me.
Awesome. So outside of Mortal Kombat 2, Evan, I saw that you saw, and The Devil Wears Prada 2. You've been watching a lot of movies. I saw that you also saw a new premium VOD release in Ready or Not 2.
I did, yeah, I just watched that last night, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. Have you seen it, Max?
I haven't seen the sequel; it's on my list, but I really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, me too. And so I was like eager to watch this one, and it's a lot of fun. I think they give a good reason for another, another game to be happening, and this time with some other, zany characters. But the kind of like main, big bads in this one are played by Sean Hatosi and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and they're a fun kind of pair. And Samara Weaving is really great, and Catherine Newton plays her sister who gets dragged into these proceedings. So that's a kind of interesting new dynamic in this one is her and her sister are kind of fighting for survival together and she's estranged from her sister. So there's some push and pull there on the like, they've got to work together even though they've got beef. And Elijah Wood is in this too. He's very fun. I love that Elijah Wood has just been picking weird stuff to do since the Lord of the Rings
You're
movies
right.
like made him money. I love that actors are doing that. They're just like make all their money with like a big franchise movie and just go out there and do weird stuff. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. I think it might be my favorite movie so far this year. So that should tell you something that how much fun I had watching it. It was a good old time. It's very silly and funny. Like there's some really funny fight scenes in it. There's some hilarious dialogue. There's like zany weapons that people are using to fight each other, much like the first one. And yeah, more exploding bodies. So just get ready for that.
Now, was this directed by the same duo, or was this like Radio Silence, or was this directed by like somebody else? Because I think Radio Silence did the first one, and then they went on and did Scream. I don't know if they came back for Ready or Not 2, or if they handed it off to somebody else.
Yeah, I believe it is the same people. Sorry, I'm not like directly looking at the IMDb.
It's okay.
Normally I would be more prepared for this, but yeah, I think it's the same people who did the first one. So it's yeah, there's definitely that continuity there.
Good. Yeah, that's what I liked about the first one, and thought I visit the Scream movie because I was like, oh, that's cool that like they were being handed the reins of that franchise following Ready or Not. No, good. I'm glad it's good. It feels like, and I know this is a weird argument to have, Evan, but like it feels like sometimes that these movies come into theaters and then like you blink and they're gone, and like
Hmm.
you're like, oh, maybe I would have liked to see that in theaters, and it's too late now.
Yeah, I watched it at home. I would have liked to have seen it in the theater, but I like missed it a few weeks ago, so um I was glad to catch up with it. I really like Samara Weaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've watched a lot of her movies in the past couple of years, like and I've watched some stinkers that she's been in
Yeah.
too, but I really liked her in them, even when the movies were terrible. She's very funny and charismatic, and so I'm gonna follow her wherever she goes, pretty much.
You listed another movie or property that you've caught up before. When was that?
Yeah, so this is a movie that I found when we were just kind of like scrolling through Paramount Plus looking for something to watch in the like thriller horror vein. It's a 1981 movie called The Fan, starring Michael Biehn and Lauren Bacall and James Garner. And it's a fun little thriller about this guy played by Michael Biehn who's obsessed with this actress played by Lauren Bacall and he's writing her these letters, like these obsessive letters, and then he starts stalking her, and it takes place in New York City. And yeah, it's really, really good. Like Michael Biehn is excellent as this like unhinged like fan, the stalker guy who's like obsessed with Lauren Bacall in the movie. And of course, it's Lauren Bacall, so you're like perfect to play this like, aging actress who is like in the movie she's like taking a spin on Broadway, trying something different. And so that's adds some color. And James Garner is like this on again, off again guy that she's been with and Hector Elizondo is in it too. He plays like the police officer who kind of is trying to protect her from the stalker. And yeah, I just thought it was really good. Like it's got this really good score. It's tense. It's psychological, especially when it's kind of like getting down to the kind of like final climactic clash between Michael Biehn and Lauren Bacall, and I was like pleasantly surprised because I knew nothing about the movie, and I was like, "Damn, this was really good. I'm glad I like stumbled on this."
Yeah, sometimes it's like the best, right? Like when you just stumble upon a movie and you turn it on, you watch it, and it's like, oh, this is really good.
Hmm. Yeah, there's nothing better than like stumbling into a fun movie, and then you're like, "Oh, great, now I can tell other people about it like I am right now."
Right. Well, when it was funny, Evan, like I watched some Criterions that I had gotten in the mail recently, and I was like all kinds of disappointed with both of them, and I was just like,
That's a shame.
yeah, I was like, I think like the first one I watched was this movie called like Trouble in Paradise, which unbeknownst to me, I had seen before and didn't like.
Oops.
And so like watching it again didn't really change that,
Hmm.
but I just thought it was funny that I would get that. And then there was this other movie called like Verver Ververanda, I think it's called, and it's by this director who did this other movie, Belle de Jour, that I really liked with Catherine Deneuve. But I didn't really jive with this one either. But like I was just like, let me catch up with some like Criterions that I haven't watched, and then Evan, I was like, maybe I'll put in The Killer, which is the John Woo movie that I got on 4K recently, and I just haven't watched yet. And like that moment that I was about to press play, I was like, oh, I have to like review this G Kids movie, which I talked about Labyrinth. There's a review
Hmm.
on the newsletter if people want to check it out, and it's a shame because I didn't really like that movie. It was tedious.
Oh, that's a bummer.
But what I did see in theaters, because even though it had mixed reviews, I was like, I've been waiting for this movie for 2 years now. I'm gonna go see it.
Right.
David Lowery's Mother Mary, starring Anne Hathaway. If Mother Mary did better business at the movie theater, you'd be like seeing Anne Hathaway in like two films.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It didn't work very well for A24. I don't imagine it'll be in theaters much longer. You'll probably be able to see it on VOD very soon. But in the movie, Anne Hathaway plays a pop star named Mother Mary who is going through like a crisis, and she is planning a big comeback concert. And the only way that she feels that she'll be comfortable on the stage again is if she visits her, I guess, longtime friend, collaborator who she hasn't talked to in a long time, played by Michaela
Hmm.
Cole. And they seem to have had a falling out somewhere along the lines. And, you know, much of the movie is finding out why they had the messy breakup that they did or feud that they have and what happened, you know, Anne Hathaway's character to make her make this return. While I can totally understand that people be turned off by it because like it leaves like a lot of open-ended questions, and I think like the first hour takes place like in like four rooms. Evan, it doesn't like
Mm.
it was like on paper it was billed as like come watch this like Anne Hathaway concert film with like Charlie XCX and FKA Twigs music, and it's not really that at all.
I see.
It's something very different, and yeah, I could totally get why people didn't really enjoy it. I applaud it for keeping my interests for as long as it did. And, I saw a few movies at IFF Boston, and I talked about like I Love Boosters and some other stuff on the newsletter. Mother Mary was heads and tails better than anything that I saw at the film festival, because I was just like, well, you know, this is just like Lowry is trying to do something interesting, and even if it doesn't always work, and it's not the movie that I expected, I was still pretty interested in it.
So you think his direction really went along?
Yeah, or like just like his viewpoint, because like when I was doing my research on my review of it, I was like, oh, you know, his influence or his ideas of this movie is like how pop music can almost be like cultish, like how like people yell and scream at like Taylor Swift concerts, or if you've looked at like he was like, oh, growing up his parents told him he couldn't like Madonna, quite literally because her name was Madonna and she had all this like a Christianity imagery in her repertoire. You know, if you think about like a
I see.
prayer,
Yeah.
you know, so Lowry's idea was quite literally like let's fuse it into a movie and talk about someone using these very religious symbols for their performance.
Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you weren't disappointed because I know you were very much anticipating the movie, and I also know you really like David Lowery too.
Yeah, I mean, like I know, like for some people, he can be a slog. I know, like if you talk to somebody who sat through a ghost story, I know some people would be like, that was the most painful movie I ever saw. And like other people would be like, okay, sure, Rooney Mara eats a pie for 9 minutes, but the movie's still pretty good. I can't imagine you've seen that. Have you seen a ghost story?
No, I didn't see that one. I think I've only seen a couple of the David Lowery. Like I saw Green Knight. Did he do the Pete's Dragon movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I've seen that, and I did really like that. I thought that was really good.
And the one that I did an interview with him once. He did like one of Robert Redford's last movies, The Old Man and the Gun, which is a pretty
That's
enjoyable
right.
caper movie.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but I know a lot of people liked it.
Yeah, Redford is like, oh, I have to do robberies because it's like the only thing I have left because he's like so old at that point, and he's like I guess like Casey Affleck is like the police looking for him or something.
Okay, maybe I'll go back and check that one.
Anyways, yeah, that was Mother Mary from David Lowery in A24. Look for that soon. Yeah, Evan, I think we're at the end here. Uh,
We did it.
yeah,
We made it with this wacky setup here.
yeah. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and listening, and thank you, Evan, for joining me as always. Talk to everybody in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Catch you later, gang.
All right, bye.